Okay, so this is our third segment for supply and demand, and this is putting everything together. And what I've drawn on the board here is what I would draw in a regular classroom is 4 cases, and we're going to be shifting a curve and seeing what happens to equilibrium. Now, there'll be different cases that are given to you, and Manku says that there's 3 basic steps that you can do to analyze the changes. And it's clear in the book, but I'll just go over it with you. First case is it demand or supply? Second case, what direction? Is it left or right? Left or right? And third, what is the impact on equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity? So with any case, answer the 3 basic questions, and then you can very easily see what's going to happen on the supply and demand curve. So we're sticking with ice cream. And our first case, it's really hot weather out. And of course, that's going to have an impact. Is it demand or supply? Obviously, it's a demand. What direction? I think it's going to be an increase. It's going to be a shift to the right. And here we go. Here's our new demand curve. Here's our new equilibrium. And our quantity has gone up, and our price has gone up. But some things to look at behind the scenes. At the initial price, let's say this price is $4. Really hot weather, and it's been really hot weather. Let's say you're in Waikiki and it's in July and August, and oh my goodness, it gets really hot. So flood to get ice cream. There will be a shortage at the initial price. And with that shortage, how to resolve the shortage? The only way to do so is to raise the price. And as the price gets raised, we have this natural movement that in which markets have a way of allocating goods and services given that given price as the rationing mechanism. So at the shortage, there will be too much quantity relative to what sellers are offering. And let's say this is 10 and this is 4, and so there's too much demand relative to supply, shortage of 6. Once the price goes up, we would be both at 6, quantity supplied equals quantity demand at 6. So that's in the case of the increase. Let's say in ice cream we have, we'll just call this hot weather. Let's say there's cold weather. Oh my, we don't want ice cream when there's cold weather. And it's going to be demand again. This time it's going to be a shift to the left. Q1, P1. There's going to be a drop in demand for ice cream given that there is cold weather. And so we have a shift, and we have the drop in price and drop in quantity. In this case, we had an increase. Here we have a drop. But now we have a surplus. Surplus needs to be resolved by the agent price. This is what happens at every sale. When there's a sale, the store wants to get rid of something. What are they going to do? They're going to drop the price for that item. Now, another thing on his, and this is going to be true for all 4 cases, when there is a shift in one curve, there's a movement along the other. So in this case, shift in demand, movement along the supply curve. Shift in demand, movement along the supply curve. And we have changes of quantity and shifts going on at the same time. Okay, our third case. This is going to be for ice cream. Let's go with what the book has described. Let's say there is an earthquake that destroys supply capacity for ice cream. We would have a shift on the supply curve to the left. That would mean ultimately a higher price and a lower quantity. At the initial price, there is a shortage, and that has to be resolved through the price. Final case, be a little different from the book. Let's say there's increased sellers of ice cream. Increased sellers, it's going to be a shift to the right. Our shift to the right means ultimately that the price will go down and the quantity goes up. At the initial price, there is a surplus. And that surplus gets resolved by the price going down to ultimately reach the new equilibrium where both the demand and supply, the quantity demand and quantity supplied is equal at the new equilibrium. So all of these situations, they work very similarly, and you will get them all straight by remembering these 3 steps here. Now, I've only looked at just one shift. There is a possibility of doing 2 shifts. Let's say that there's hot weather and there's new firms that are coming in. You would get both a shift in demand and supply, and then you would have to look at it to see what the ultimate impact is going to be. In that case, I think it would have more out there, but the impact on price is going to be indeterminate. But generally for exams, I focus on just one shift and how it affects equilibrium, price, and quantity in general. Okay, that does it for Chapter 4. If you get this, you get Chapter 4, and you will get the distinction between quantity, demand, and supply, and quantity demand, and quantity supplied and supplied. And that's really the biggest thing, the difference between a shift and a movement with these curves. Okay, thank you very much, and we're done with Chapter 4.